Welcome to Health Conscious Entrepreneurs, where we uncover secrets to balancing entrepreneurship, life, healthy habits to achieve radiant health. I'm your host, Ngoc Tai, and tonight I have my friend from all the way from Washington, Dr. Kasia Kines. Dr. Kasia, thank you so much for coming on to my summit. I'm so blessed to have you and meet you.
Hello,
Yes,
I'm
please
very
share a little
honored.
bit about yourself and your wonderful work, because when I was reading your profile and on your website and everything you talk about, it's just so aligned. The universe just brought me to you, and I love it.
Well, I'm a doctor of clinical nutrition. I've been in clinical practice for 15 years. Um, I help people change their lives, and especially when they're really, really sick and really complicated, autoimmune disorders, gut issues, and in particular, Epstein-Barr virus infections. So that's what I've been doing. And so we have all kinds of services and programs. I train clinicians as well. I created a global Epstein-Barr virus institute. Um, I wrote a best-selling book on Amazon about Epstein-Barr virus.
Yes, I know. And I was telling you about my health issues and how I came into, inflammation and stress and how I discovered this water I was drinking. And you were saying, you have EPV, and you were doing this testing. I'm like, what? What is that? I thought it was just like major inflammation or something. Can you share more about that and what you were doing with your little pendant? I just love it.
A little pendulum?
Yes.
Yeah. So what I do is functional nutrition. It's a little bit like functional medicine. We like to review labs. We like to look at the root causes of illness and disease. And we want the body to return to balance, like you talk about balancing life and so on. So there's always a reason why the body is out of balance. But I do like natural means too. So this was made especially for me by an acupuncturist who is, people call her a stone whisperer.
Yeah.
Because she creates pendulums for people, for providers like me, especially like for individuals. And these stones are from all over the world. And so sometimes if there's no, logistic answers, lab answers, black and white answers, and I have a hunch, I like to confirm.
Yeah.
Like really try not to influence it. So it's my left hand.
Yes.
And so sometimes, muscle testing, kinesiology, that's pretty acknowledged. A lot of chiropractors use muscle testing of different forms. It's a little bit like muscle testing.
So how does it work? Like you would ask a question and
it's yes or no questions. Yes or no questions. So you can take anything. You can take a piece of crystal, hang it on the ribbon. You can use any hanging object, and you have to figure out what is a yes and what is a no for you.
Okay.
So if I say, my name is Ngoc Tai. Hopefully I pronounced it correctly.
Yes, you did.
For me, the answer no is counterclockwise, and that's what it does.
Oh my goodness.
If I say my name is Kasia Kines, and I'm honestly not doing anything, I'm just trying not to move my hand at all.
That's great.
Going in the opposite direction. So for me, the answer yes is clockwise.
Yeah.
For some people, it's like this or this. For me, it's clockwise, anti-clockwise. So sometimes if we're like kind of, if I need a little confirmation, I won't base something serious on this because I still don't trust myself. But it's been serving. Interestingly, it's been serving me very well.
That's amazing.
I remember to use it. Yes. So.
Yeah, we talked about so many things, and I'm like, oh my gosh, we talk about EMF, and like, I'm totally talking about 5G and how worried I was about 5G, and you know, and then I have this EMF tester going around, like testing around the microwave in my house, and my son and my partner thinks I'm crazy with my EMF tester and wearing my crystals and stuff like that.
Yeah, crystals are very powerful.
Yes,
They really are very powerful. Yeah, energetically, there's something about them. So
yeah. And so in your line of work, how did you get into functional medicine and nutrition? What was your journey? Like, you know, we all have a journey, and I had my journey to, like, from an accountant to now talking on this talk show about health and nutrition.
yeah,
It's like what's that's crazy. It's like there's no like correlation, you know.
Well,
but I love it.
Everything is connected. Like there's always a journey that has to make sense. Well, I didn't get sick like most people do when they change career. But I was a little bit into health and naturopathic medicine, especially when I moved into the States. My master degree and my career in Poland was in English philology. So I was very well trained as a translator, teacher. I taught at universities in the States. I taught international students how to go to college in the States. I taught a lot of Asian and Vietnamese students.
Wow, awesome.
My favorite, yeah, I loved it.
Yeah.
But when I moved here after a while, you know, when I was in my early 30s, I decided I had been doing that for years and years, and I decided there's more that I need to do. And I was thinking about natural medicine. So I moved from Michigan. I was living in Michigan. I moved there to Seattle from Michigan with my 2 cats. And and instead of naturopathic medicine, I decided to change majors, and I did master degree in clinical nutrition.
Wow.
And so, and then we moved to Baltimore, and then I worked at Hopkins a little bit. I brought some more of that into that environment. They're not very open-minded. And so, and I worked there with Dr. Mullen, who is like a world-class integrated gastroenterologist. He taught me a lot when I was there. He basically worked very close. Yeah. And so I learned a lot. I fell in love with gastroenterology, and especially the functional and integrative gastroenterology. So a lot of work that I do still comes from that passion for the gut. So I have a lot of people when traditional gastroenterologists just don't look where they could. And so that's fascinating. So I've been doing that, but then I had a friend in Poland, and she was diagnosed with MS literally 6 months before I was moving to the States. So I was 30 where I moved here, and it was 25 years ago. And she was fighting for her life all these years as I was building my life from scratch. And so, and she lost it, and I couldn't help her. And I was always frustrated. Because I was too late for her and I couldn't figure it out. I was already a nutritionist. But we were just kind of, what is it? And she was just getting worse. So I think, you know, when you ask the question, the answer comes. When you're looking, the teacher appears, as they say. And so, and in functional nutrition, when you keep doing it and get good at it, more and more complicated people come, and then sometimes you're the last resort after many doctors, many labs, thousands of dollars, 30 years of not getting better. So as this intensity increased, and I would be hitting the wall with some people's like, what is it that I don't know? There's something there. We're doing everything right. What else is there that I can't see? So I always ask that question, and the combination of losing my friend, asking that question, and then asking this question really culminated when 2 or 3 patients at the same time within the same few weeks asked me, what is your opinion about medical medium? I don't know if you're familiar with that book.
No, I don't.
I'm just
learning. I actually start learning about functional medicine and functional nutrition, just coming like now learning about the water and just learning about integrated medicine. So I'm learning all these terms. It's just like, wow, you know, when you go to the doctors, they don't talk about that stuff.
They don't know. No, they don't know. And it's that's a great disservice. And this is where, you know, the so-called allopathic medicine fails except in acute situation when you need to have a surgery and so on and so forth. We have all that we need, technology and all that. But so basically, medical medium is a very famous man. He's been producing books. His very first book was Medical Medium. And so in the functional medicine community, among people that are clinically ill, have chronic illness, autoimmune, he made a huge splash because in his book, he was claiming that Epstein-Barr virus is behind a lot of illness, a lot of problems. And so, but he gets his message from a spirit of compassion. So he says he gets downloads. He doesn't have any training. He's not a clinician. He's, so he's kind of been doing that. So he has massive following.
Yeah.
But the problem is that you have the followers on this extreme, very spiritual, this is the spirit talking, so I believe it. And then you have medical community. And when people started to be insistent that doctors test them for EBV, the medical community, as you can imagine, gets irritated.
Yeah.
Because according to old school, there are certain things you do about EBV and there are certain things you don't. It's a long story, but anyway, it's like there's a big disconnect and there's a big ferment.
Yeah.
But the problem is, I didn't have time. So I said, if 3 people are asking me for my educated opinion, I have no choice. I have to buy the book and preview it and see what I think, because I have to have an educated, I am in this field, I have to have an educated opinion. People will keep asking me. So I was on a plane flying to a conference because I didn't have time to read.
Yeah.
And I'm reading this book and I can't stop because I'm seeing those patients. I'm seeing those cases when I don't give up on people, but when I had to give up because I just didn't know what it was. Like, what the heck is it that there's something I don't know. Yeah. And the issue is that I take the best training in the country. I went to the best master degree in the world, probably. I did the very first PhD program in clinical functional nutrition as soon as it opens, the very first cohort. Yeah. Because I looked for it so many years. So I had the best trainings. I was training, and nobody taught me about viruses. So when I read that book, I said, if half of it is true, I have a responsibility to look into it and bridge this gap. So basically, I focused in my PhD program and said, okay, I'm going to do a medical literature review and see whatever he's claiming, which part actually is verifiable in medical literature. And I was inundated with literature. There's so much on it. And so I created a paper on medical review on EBV, 75 pages, I think.
Wow.
And then the director of the PhD program, my husband, my colleagues, my friends who already published books like on Hashimoto's, everybody says, well, why are you going to publish a book? Like, what book? What
Might
book?
as well do it.
Well, they made sure I did. And so the book was born less than 2 years later. I really got to it, and I was able to draw on all the years of my clinical practice, because what I started to see in medical literature was really matching all that I had been doing and my philosophy and the programs I created for very different reasons that I had been teaching. And it was almost like I was guided. So whoever there is made sure that I didn't miss anything if I was led. And so, for example, in my doctoral program, Dr. Vasquez taught me virology, and it was the only one time he taught. He never taught there again. Yeah. If I had waited for second cohort, I would have missed that whole EBV concept, because it was about viruses, not just EBV. It was, but I started to hone in on protocols because of that one, jump into viruses. Yeah. And so it changed everything. So I had the book, but I had the book because I was telling everyone I was getting results. Yeah. We were getting my patients to test, and I was analyzing the results. I was studying them and so on. So it's a long story,
Yeah.
But I honed on it to the point when I felt I had a responsibility to write that book. I had no choice. I had to
Yeah.
do it for all those people, because people literally almost die.
Yeah.
Lives are destroyed. They
Yeah.
can't work. It's awful. Yeah, and the
Yeah.
presentations are all kinds, all kinds of autoimmune. And if you don't address the virus, if that's what it is, it doesn't matter what you do. You're just gonna fail. Your
Yeah.
doctors are gonna fail, and
Yeah.
everybody is just angry. So I made sure that the book is almost 600 pages. It's like a
Wow.
big Bible. It's been called the EBV Bible. It's on
Wow.
Amazon. It's EBV Solution.
Yeah.
Very simple. And 1/3 is medical literature for doctors, and 2/3 is what do you do with that,
Yeah.
hands on. So a doctor can use it, a nutritionist can use it, a person who is sick, if they're not sick enough, so their brain is still working, they can use it, they
Yeah.
can follow. And from this we develop programs and so on. But that's kind of my journey. And I think also, the friend that I lost to MS has something to do with it up
Yeah.
there. I mean, I had some visions of her, and
That's
I
amazing.
just follow one step at a time. And as long as I'm open, I know it's for the highest good. I know I'm supposed to do the next thing. I just don't
Yeah.
say no. It's like whatever it is that I need to learn now, let's
Yeah.
just, whatever presents in front of me, I'm just not going to say no.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and that's been the journey. So we've been able to create an amazing website for EBV for people, the book, the programs, clinician programs,
Yeah.
all kinds of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, I
So
just loved, yeah, I love your website, how clean and everything looks. And
thank you.
you're so right, because for me the journey was the same, where I had my health, I couldn't work for 2 weeks. And then I was like in so much pain, and I went to the doctor, and the doctor gave me cortisone shots and
Yes.
tons of pills. And I'm like, this is not the solution. My body's telling me something is wrong. I need to like look at what's wrong with my body. I'm not, my balance is off. And so then came across the water, and then I was like, you know what, this water, there's something in this water that's so special, and that I
Yeah.
need to look into this. And so, as an auditor background, that's my background, my profession is CPA. I have to research, and I keep
Yeah.
reading books, and I keep watching videos. I keep like trying to figure out. And now I'm like, okay, I need to figure this out, because there's just something, something is here.
Something
And
there.
then this
Yeah.
whole nutrition. So I have to figure out the nutrition piece. And I'm the same thing. So I was like, there is something we need to look at, the underlying issue of why we are sick. Why?
Yes.
I mean,
Yes.
what are we ignoring about our body? What are these signs that we're getting that we're not paying attention? We're just like, oh, it's just a small pain, but there's a reason your body's telling you something.
Yes, yes, and just like you're explaining your symptoms right now, the dizziness, or lack of balance, the pain, 2 weeks just not being able to function. It's classic for
Yeah.
EBV. It really.
But the doctor doesn't say that.
No.
You know what? They charged me $537 to see me for like 15 minutes. I'm like, are you kidding me? And then I went back again, and they gave me a prescription to stay out of work. And that was another $500. And I'm like, you didn't do anything for me. I'm sorry, but you didn't do anything for me. I would rather spend my money buying my water machine or going to the acupuncture. That gives me more value than just going to see you for 15 minutes. I'm not going to say bad about doctors. There's a process for
Right.
doctors, but that just really
Right.
didn't explain anything to me.
No. I mean, if you get on a call with the right person, like I have a power hour, it's 45 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
If somebody comes to me and we don't know each other, and then we just jump in deep waters for 45 minutes, we can strategize and clean up so many concepts and restructure the person's mind, where they're going, what they've done, what worked, what didn't. You just need the right support. You can save years of frustration and thousands of dollars. And it is frustrating, and that's why I do what I do.
Yes.
Because I am frustrated with people and for people.
Yeah. And so now it's my medical journey of learning about, integrative medicine, functional medicine, and all these terms. And, I signed up for a class, but, and I'm learning, honestly, from the basic, the organs and all the impact of food on our body. And there's just so much, because when we're in high school, right, we learn about all these organs and biology class, but it really didn't click, It just doesn't
Yeah.
click. But now it's like, okay, this is really a desire to figure out how does all the things we're doing impacting every part of our organs, every part of our body. It's like from the basic to the hair product to, or shampoo to the food we eat, the things we drink, the coffee and all that sort of stuff, right? And I just find it so interesting and so informative. I wish more doctors, I was told that doctors don't get nutritional training. Is that correct?
No. No, they get pharmaceutical training, and
Yeah.
pharmaceutical industry funds a lot of what they do, vacations and bonuses. And so the traditional medical school teaches pathology and matching medications. That is the training. That is the
Yeah.
training. Mhm.
We need to, like, there has to be like a whole overhaul of the pharmaceutical medical industry, because if you think about why does a doctor want to be a doctor? I don't think a doctor's mission in life was to go in there and learn about, like, all these pharmaceutical stuff. They went there because they had a burning desire to impact change and impact lives and help people. So then what
Well,
happened when we go there? It's like,
right, right.
makes no sense.
It's like a factory farming. You have to go through that. Yes, but there is a new generation medical students. They take supplements. They take it more seriously.
Yeah.
But you should see when I was at Hopkins, I had access to their fridge.
Yeah.
The gastroenterologist clinic was right next door, and I used to have my detox program in their kitchen. We would bring foods and so on a Saturday. The first time I opened the fridge, I saw what gastroenterologists at Hopkins eat and drink. I was just floored. Like, there is absolutely no connection
Yeah. Yeah.
between food and health.
Yeah.
No connection.
Yeah. It's crazy because
That was my aha moment.
yeah, because we go to a doctor, and this is where sometimes I'm like, you go to a doctor and you expect the doctor to be healthy because the doctor's taking care of so many people, and they're not really taking care of themselves. It's like you have to, if you want to preach something, like if you want to preach something to somebody, you need to learn to take care of yourself before you give me advice, because I'm like, how can you give me advice if you're not healthy and I'm seeing you, like, doing unhealthy stuff,
Yeah, but there was I had a patient in Alaska, and once we finished the program and she recovered, she found a doctor, and I actually got to talk to her and fell in love with her. She's a biker. She bikes like crazy everywhere, and she's doing functional medicine. And then we met in the same business school. Like, these doctors are all over. They are there.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, bring it on. It's awesome. So it is changing because it needs to change, and people are asking. People want more, and people want better solutions.
Yeah, you're right.
There are people that still want a pill, and they delegate the responsibility to the pill and to the doctor, and they don't think. They just think the doctor knows, and I'm just going to blindly follow. There are people like that, and you can't change that. But there are people that want their own responsibility because they know they can make a lot of changes, and the doctors are a little bit behind with chronic illness. So
I do this whole this whole shit of COVID, and just bringing back about COVID, right? It's like this COVID is, like I keep saying, it's a wake-up call that we need to really look at our health. So what is the underlying problem with our health is that we are obese society, right? We're so stressed out. We're on so much medication. We're so much on soda, so much energy drinks, so much all TV, so much of internet, so much of all this stuff that our brain and our body is overloaded. Like, we don't know, it's like it can't fight one more thing that's coming, right?
And then and then you pop your meal in the microwave.
Yes, then we pop our meal in the microwave. Exactly it. Because it's so convenient. I keep saying the same thing to my partner and my son, and it's like, but it has to be a conscientious understanding and a desire to learn.
Yeah.
Right. So a desire to change, a desire to look at your health and not just accept it as it is, instead of just being so convenient, just keep drinking soda. So one part of my water demo is like, I show or alkaline water versus soda, and just one drop of the soda can turn a whole glass of alkaline water acidic. And I was like, can you guys really see just one drop, just a little bit? And then when I do that demo, people are like, oh my God, the soda is so bad. I was like, yes. And we're giving our children Gatorade, we're giving our kids energy, you know, these sodas and stuff. Do we understand the impact of what we're doing to our children and the obesity and skin problem and eczema and development? All these things that we're not paying attention to because it's convenient.
Well, I would say convenient is one thing, but I would say I wouldn't put the blame on humans, because there is human psychology. That's and true. Food industry exploits that human psychology. So the job of food industry is to have repeat customers. And so in certain things that are common in on this market, food market, and are not normal, but they are common. And so the organic produce is more expensive, is less available. You have to really, like, if you really want to take care of yourself, you have to get out of the way to get healthier foods. It's more and more available, thanks God, but it's not, there's food deserts, there's plenty of places where you do not have that access, whereas junk food is notoriously cheap. Cheap. It's cheap when you buy the burger, but it's not cheap ecologically. It's not cheap in terms of the pollution that burger created. It's, somebody's paying for it. And also, of course, when you have more disease, then you have more medical business thriving, pharmaceutical business thriving. So it's almost like good business partnership.
Yeah, it is. It's terrible. And when I went to Asia, do you know what I see? I mean, in the Philippines, oh my gosh, the aisles and aisles of junk food and sodas. I'm like, what is all this? It's like, it's even worse than the US when we're going to these Asian countries. I'm like, we're pushing our food to there. And we're not realizing the impact that everybody's like catching our Western kind of diet, this marketing they're doing to different countries. So it's like, this is so unhealthy, and we need to like bring awareness of that.
Yeah, I think awareness is important, and also letting people know, making people aware that it's highly addictive. And so people have resistance because they just need that flavor. They need the crunch, they need the salt. And I certainly understand that. I'm human. And if I have, organic potato chips with good oil, nevertheless, you eat the whole darn bag. So there's certain qualities to junk food that provide the instant gratification, instant high, instant energy, instant everything. So you feel a little bit better for a few minutes, but it's not sustainable, and it's expensive on the body too. So it is complicated. There's so much noise. Like if people go shopping, I don't like to go shopping to regular stores because energetically I'm bombarded by stimulation of all kinds of junk and this and that. And so, nutritionists always teach people, don't go on empty stomach and go around peripheries where produce is. Don't go inside.
It's crazy. We have to program ourselves.
Like you have to, it's like a game, that you have certain, there's a lot of intention put into food products and where they are on the aisle and by the checkout counter. Human psychology is exploited. I'm telling you, that's because it's just very well thought out, because they make more revenue. That's all they want. No matter what they say, that's all they want. And so we do have to play the game and win it and see through it. It's like, I know why it's there. I'm going to go this direction. Because if I'm going to go straight through the middle aisle, I'm going to see all these shiny objects. Look at this box. Look at this new product. Maybe this chips here and there. 20 million kinds. Well, I so many chips. I'm just going to take one bag. So I feel good that it's only one, but I'm picking that product.
And that's the thing, is like, how do we teach ourselves to read these labels? Because when I flip the back, it's like, I don't know half of these things that I'm reading, what this.
You should know.
It's like, I don't know what you're putting in here,
you should not buy a product if you don't understand the ingredients.
So I grew up, like when I grew up, my parents, there's 8 kids in our family, right? So there was like what we ate back then was my parents would go to the farmers market. Back then it wasn't very popular, and we would buy like boxes and boxes of oranges and apples and everything like that. You know, it was cheap, but it was like fresh farmers market stuff. And then now that transition happened where now farmers market is very expensive, right? Because people are waking up to eating fresh stuff. But that's
Right.
how I grew up. We didn't eat junk food. My mom was like very holistic in the way she treated us. We never had like, we never go to the doctors, and she just treated us the old way. And so,
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, when I grew up too in Poland, my mom would go to the market, not a big deal, nothing fancy.
mhm,
And she would bring butter that was made by a farmer. I
yeah,
remember it looked like a heart. It was
yeah,
wrapped in paper and with real butter. And, my aunt would make a jam and give it to us. It's
yeah,
just milk. I don't promote milk, but when I was a kid, we would boil milk and
yeah,
drink it hot. But whatever leftover you had, you would put that milk in glass bottles, by the way, on the
mhm,
windowsill.
yeah,
And within 2-3 days, you had sour milk. And
yeah.
then we have the sour milk in the glass. It's like kefir. It's
Like
like yogurt.
buttermilk, like
Yeah,
buttermilk.
but it's
Yeah,
it's totally fermented
yeah,
with scalloped potatoes, and that was a delicacy. And so it was just simple food. You can't do that with milk. Milk is not so normal anymore, so you can't put it on the. It would go rotten. It wouldn't ferment.
yeah. So
So
much stuff in there.
yeah, a lot has changed.
Yeah.
Definitely,
It's so sad though, you know,
very big
that
change.
it's so sad. Even organic food, when I was learning about the food and nutrition and water, even organic food has pesticide in there, but it has a lower level of pesticide. And I'm like, what? You know, like,
Well,
so, so that's why when my water, I have this water that can get rid of the pesticides and emulsify the pesticide, which is an oil base. And I'm like, this is organic, and this is my water turns green. And that means that there's still pesticide in this water, or it turns yellow, there's still pesticide. So I'm still
my
paying
gosh.
for organic stuff that's
Yeah.
pesticide.
Well, it's contaminated. So,
Yeah,
it's good. Yeah, you have air drift, you have polluting neighbors, you can't influence it. You have rain that is contaminated,
yeah,
soil, the
yeah,
water sources underground are contaminated.
yeah,
But there's no other choice. We
yeah,
have to invest in organics. And I have to say that sometimes organics, they're not ripe, or they don't have the nutritional makeup, I think, that organic produce had 30
yeah,
years ago. Because when
yeah.
I grew up in Poland, I remember what cherries tasted like. I
Yes,
remember what tomatoes tasted like.
yeah,
I remember what um, strawberries looked like and tasted like. And organic, yes, sometimes I eat strawberries that are organic and I barely recognize the flavor. Or
mhm,
watermelon is another example.
mhm,
Organic watermelon, people say this particular one is so sweet. And I eat it, and yes, it's sweet, but I remember the real sweetness. You
yeah,
probably can relate because you're
yeah,
from Vietnam.
yes,
Vietnam, correct? If I
yes,
remember.
yeah,
So yeah, and the time lap for us when we were smaller was a while ago. So it was a different time, and so
yeah,
the produce was really simple, and the soil was not so depleted.
no, no,
So yeah, but it is what it is here. We just
mhm,
have to make sure that we limit that
yeah,
exposure as much as we can, because
yeah.
it's worth it.
Yeah, because
It's worth it.
I remember because I had my parents-in-law, they came to my house. They're from Taiwan, and they're farmers in Guam, right? So they had all these farms, and then when they came to stay with us, they converted my whole backyard to like this commercial farm, like with all the grass. And then they planted rows and rows of tomatoes. So like I became the tomato ladies. I had like 100 tomato plants. I was like going around the neighborhood giving out tomatoes like there's no tomorrow, just like
Oh my
knocking on
gosh,
people's
how
doors and
sweet.
giving tomatoes. And I know how it tastes because I had earthworms in my backyard.
Oh,
It was all organic. And
nice.
so I picked it when it's fresh. I go out there and I just pick my tomatoes every day. I was picking my zucchini and everything. So I knew how it was to taste. But nowadays, when you go buy produce, it's all picked when it's green, like bananas, everything's
Yeah.
green. And so that's because they pick it and then they transport it. So then they
Yeah.
don't want it rot. It's like the flavors are not there unless you're growing
Yeah.
your own stuff. And so now I have what I call a growbot. My friend is an inventor of this growbot product, And so you grow your vegetables in nutrients and water, and it has like a solar system and camera. So I grow my grow bots in my backyard, and I go and pick my tomatoes and stuff, and just so fresh. I just love it.
Well, you have to take some pictures for me. I'm curious. I want to see
Yeah.
what it is.
Yes. And so he's an inventor in Hawaii, and so he invented this grow bot. So it's just so
Wow.
compact. And so I have my grow bot in the backyard, and I have, you know, my water, and I'm just happy, because I think that's
You're,
the way the future, I feel, is that we need to invest in our health again, to look
yeah.
at how to grow stuff organically ourselves, right? To know where our water comes from, where our food comes from,
Yeah.
and not like rely on like people telling us, or those produce stores that's giving us food that's not healthy for us. Yeah.
So basically, we need the water, which you have. We need
Mm-hmm.
some worms.
Mm-hmm.
We need a backyard,
Mm-hmm.
and a little robot.
Yes.
Yeah, but and I think maybe an older generation, especially Americans, because we're immigrants, you and I, probably have heard of Victorian gardens, and this is during the Second World War,
Yeah.
when there were shortages of food in the States.
Yeah.
People started to grow their own foods. Exactly, that's it. That's what they
Yeah.
call Victorian gardens. I know in COVID, some people started to do that too, because suddenly they were at home and they had time.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Which
it's
is
like,
awesome.
yeah, we need to go back to that. And you know, it's just like, for me, it's like I'm looking into all this. And then I've met a girl who talked about pots and pans, because I've been on my mind. I was like talking about what is in these pots and pans that we're cooking with, you know, like the metals and stuff, because you talk about the chemicals that are being used and stuff like that. And then she did a demonstration for me on like showing me how to test the pots and pans. And now I'm kind of like, okay, now I need to look at pots and pans.
One step at a time. Yes.
Yeah, so one thing at a time. But all these, like when we're talking, there's all these things that we need to start being aware of.
Yeah.
And I think that's just like a beginning step, right? So we do one step at a time. How do
we do. Yeah. We do one step at a time.
Yeah. Or else we go crazy and be overwhelmed with being worried, and like, we don't want that.
Yeah. So exactly. So I mean, the point of self-love and wellness and balance is that even if you have a plan of a perfect garden or this or that, you take one step at a time and enjoy it. And because you're investing right now, and then the next step is next month, and then the next step, maybe you save a little bit money and invest in this and that. Like for example, I bought something really inexpensive just yesterday.
Yeah.
Finally, I don't have to touch it, and I have a little pen where I can actually. There we go. Exactly. Because we still hold the darn thing, we're still exposed. And then I have a little pen to punch, so I don't have to constantly touch it.
Yeah.
So, little things like that. And you should be happy with one thing at a time like that, because that's a big win.
Yeah. Because I feel like when I'm holding my phone a lot, I can feel like, it starts aching, and or I'm wearing like a one of those Apple Watch or the Fitbit.
Oh no.
Those are so bad, because I started feeling the whatever the charge, and I started like, oh, why is my hand starting to ache? So I'm sorry. So I stopped wearing those watches. So I'm like, I feel like I'm very sensitive to the waves and the things that's going on, and I just like try to stay away and just try to do like these, like what we're saying, like these stones and stuff like that.
Yeah, I'm glad you stopped. People don't realize wireless technology on a human body is not a good combination. It never has been, never will be.
Yeah.
It's just not. Mm-hmm.
And it's worse now with the 5G, right? It's like we're some of us that we're talking about 5G, and people like think we're what are we talking about? But I'm just like, there's these things are not good, not healthy for us.
Yeah, it's bombarding even the external layer above the planet, because it requires satellites, many of them in space. And so there is a very particular, there's a name to it, which I don't remember. There's a layer above the atmosphere around the Earth that is very sensitive and connects us to the universe and the specific frequencies and so on and so forth. And so we're going to be blasting through this layer. disrupting it. And well, we're always worried about humans, but animals will be affected as well. Animals, life in general, ecosystem, because frequencies, there's certain frequencies that promote life.
Yeah. And I bought an EMF tester and I turn it on when I'm driving around and it's crazy. It goes off. And when I was in India in January, oh my God, everywhere in India I was driving, it was just like going crazy. Like, I mean, red and numbers are just like going boop, boop, boop. And it's just like, we're not paying attention to what's in the air, what's in the environment. And our body, our vibrations is like, it's going against us, right? It's just tapping into our energy and our vibration. It's just, just we have to just pay attention to these and understand. And so like, how do we do that? So like, go back to the basic, right?
Go back to basics. Put your bare feet on the grass.
Yes, like grounding yourself, or go hug a tree.
Mm-hmm.
It's like those negative charge, and the negative charge is so important. Like, getting the charge from the tree, from the ground. And then if you think about where we live, it's all concrete.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you have to
we're not grounded, and then if you're in the car, that's rubber, and then your shoes have rubber. You're not conducting negative ions. Like if you were wearing leather moccasins like Native Americans, you would still conduct the negative ions, because leather conducts. So there are some new modern ways. There are some sandals and shoes that have little copper. So you can continue conducting and be connected when you walk. But normally when we do, unless you're barefoot, you're not. So we require that for health and balance. So, research says 20 minutes is ideal, and even better in water, sand, water, ground. But water is, if you stand in water on top of everything else, is the best grounding.
Or drinking our alkaline water that we have. It's our negative charged water. Our machine is a negative charged water. So you're getting negative charge from electricity from a machine, right? That's what our water is. It's like getting you the negative charge that you need so that your body starts repairing itself on a molecular level inside your body, right? And that's why it's just so important to make sure that you understand our water, etc. And you're talking about like negative charge. I was looking at biomat. Those biomats that has like those negative charge ions. So I've been looking at like different frequency machines to like, okay, how do we check our frequency? So I've just been like researching.
You're way ahead of the game.
So I'm just like, I'm so glad we connected. So we can talk for hours and hours on all these things.
I remember my acupuncture friend uses the biomat a lot. It helped her a lot. So she was selling her a small one. She had a small one like that. And so I grabbed it from her immediately. So I have that.
Oh, awesome.
And I have a small one, a different one, a small one for my kitty. Just in case my cat has some joint issues or pain. So these are, these things come to your life. You do one thing at a time. But the good thing is if you start surrounding yourself with friends like that, so you don't feel like you're a nutcase.
No, exactly.
And you don't surround yourself with negative people who always negate and they just don't want to change, and they're not interested because, their life is in their hands. There's nothing we can do. But having a circle of friends that relate to the same thing, you can learn so much. And so you can pick up all kinds of little pearls that help your health.
I do. I mean, I have my sisterhood of friends who are healers. They're Ayurveda, Reiki healer, angelic healer, massage therapist, acupuncturist, sound healer. So those have been my friend all along. But that's why it's an interesting journey where I've always surround myself with these types of friends. And I'm an accountant, right? So I'm the anomaly of like these friends that I have. So it's just like, I guess the calling came to me that, this is what you're supposed to be doing. You're supposed to be going to the health industry. You're supposed to be connecting people with your network of healers and bringing it out so that people are aware, so that you're sharing everything that you know, because I have all these meaningful conversations with them all the time. And so when you have these meaningful conversations, you're learning so much about health. So how do you bring it out so that more people are aware? Because just people don't know what they don't know. They don't get exposed to it, you know?
That's true.
And so for me, it's like, okay, now I think this is the next journey of bringing all that together and just bringing more awareness of health.
Well said. Yeah. Yeah, it's a fantastic summit, you know, it's a fantastic event that you're doing.
Thank you
and
so
help
much.
A lot of women.
Yeah. And so my question for every expert that comes on the show.
She's gonna test me now.
All right. Here's the question. If you have one superpower to change the world, what would that superpower be and why?
Okay. I would close down all farming factories. Okay. No more factory farming. No more pigs. No more horses killed for meat. No more turkeys killed for meat. No more torture. No more cows being abused and literally tortured with pregnancy after pregnancy, and you know, the baby being removed and grieving, and the cows being killed and thrown in the garbage because they're useless. I would close all that, and with that I would raise our vibration as a species, so we can cohabit on this planet rather than mindlessly overconsume those poor tormented animals. That's what I would do.
Yay. you know in the old days, gladiators, we think that gladiators are the strongest guys, right? They're superhumans, right? And they have a plant-based diet. They didn't eat meat, right? And so if you think about the food and the nutrients from the earth, right? And that's where it is like we need to look at, okay, what is the food and the spices and all those things? That's what Mother Nature gave us. So how do we protect Mother Nature? How do we make sure that we don't have all these chemicals and all this spraying constantly? We're using these chemical products that we're putting in the tap water and all these things. How do we stop all that, right? Because we consume less of that. And then we fix Mother Earth, because right now we're fixing Mother Earth as much as we can to let her rest, right? Because she's so tired, and that's why we're home right now. But now we're getting back to work.
COVID-19 improved some of the environmental toxic load on the planet, definitely. Yeah. I don't know if we learned anything.
I mean, that's why it's like the human habits, human nature. We get disrupted for that. We woke up a little bit, and then we go back to our old habits again.
Back to our habits, yeah.
It's crazy. It's like, okay, well, how do we shift from that and come back to, okay, what do we learn from this lesson of this pandemic? What did we learn to figure out? How do we take care of ourselves, our body, our mind, our spirit, everything that comes back to alignment, right? And that's why I'm so grateful that I'm putting the summit together, because it just come back to like, let's get back to alignment.
It's just so perfect. Yes, your summit is perfect and perfect timing. Yeah.
Well, thank you.
Perfect message.
Yes, and I'm so glad that we connected too. So how do we find you? If someone wants to talk to you, and how do they find you?
My name, you can Google my name, which is Kasia Kines, and I'm sure you're going to spell it there somewhere.
Yes.
I have two websites. One is my name, and one is EBV Help, ebvhelp.com.
Yeah.
So that's specifically for EBV. If anybody has suspicion that they have EBV, you can do a quiz there. It walks you through it, and so lots of resources. These are the ways. We have a YouTube channel. The book is there. We also have a gift. So
some random drawing gifts, and so
so there will be a number. I guess you will provide that number.
Yes,
okay.
Yeah, when people sign up to give their information, we'll like pick their name randomly.
Pick a drawing.
Stuff, and then they'll get your gift.
So you're gonna get a number, and you go to EBV Help website and click on the book, page, and then people who buy my book get two gifts.
Yes.
They have to put the number from the invoice from the purchase, but I'll give you a special number, and if you put that number, you will instantly get those two gifts anyway. One is about 3 minutes, I think, with me in a health food store in a gluten-free aisle.
Yeah.
Because gluten-free is such a big issue. However, you really need to know your stuff. Like there's all kinds of confusion. So I literally show ingredients in this, what's worth it, what's not worth it. There's a lot of marketing gimmicks because gluten-free is a big industry. So they're going to get you. So that one. And then I have a fabulous ebook, really big, meaty ebook on microwaving. Why the research, which is really hard to find in different countries, like different studies, and what to do instead of it, how to manage a kitchen, different tools and recipes, and how to maneuver your life in the kitchen without the darn microwave, and why I care. So it's a big life-changing ebook. So these will be the gifts for your community.
I need that book too, because I keep telling my sons, like, we gotta stop microwaving stuff.
Well, you have the numbers, you know what to type in.
Awesome. Thank you so much for coming. I think we can talk forever and ever. I'm sure I'll bring you back again and we'll continue to talk. And
it would be my pleasure.
Yes.
It's an honor. It's great. Thank you for having me.
Thank you.